Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of MTG Study Hall. I am one of your hosts, Brett, and I am joined, as always, by my co-hosts,
JC
and
Dave.
And before we launch into everything, we have a little bit of bookkeeping to take care of. Dave?
Yep. Show your support by checking us out on the following. Liking us on Facebook.com/TCG University, subbing at YouTube.com/TCG University, enrolling at Patreon.com/TCG University, and checking out our merch with our merch page, which I'm not sure about. We'll get to that later. We'll get to that later with one of those things. JC, would you like to?
Yeah, so as always, we have a lot of rewards on our Patreon. Check out our Patreon. We got some new clothing designs up and store things. So yeah, definitely check us out. We'd like to thank all our Patreon peoples, our Patreon sponsors. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. That be Andrew Dang, Clay Cardwell, Jay Rogers, Jarrett Hubbard, Jerome Weeks Jr., Justin Farst, Kat Maria, Lucinda Letica, Samantha Stephen, Teodora Ruiz, Tyler Zane Pease. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Cool.
I'm really excited about the show. We get to do pre-release stuff. Before that, as always, let's hit our what have we been doing in and outside of Magic real quick. Oh gosh, I can't even remember.
Dave went last week. You go first.
I go first? Okay, I can go first. And it's going to be brief this time, and I'm not going to go on a huge tirade about a fun game. In Magic, not a ton. I don't normally play a ton of paper Magic before a set comes out. I'm too excited about the new cards, and I'm brewing all these decks, but I haven't played any Commander or Brawl at the moment in paper. Mostly excited for the new stuff. Checking out spoilers is mostly what I've been doing Magic-wise. Recorded a little bit of Brawling with Brett. We'll have that up there soon. Hopefully we'll get that pretty consistent. The dream is multiple episodes a week of that, so hopefully we'll have that for you soon, and you can watch me play Brawl average to poorly, to be totally honest. But I try to stay entertaining and talk. And outside of Magic, watched The Lighthouse, which was incredible. Watched Don't Fuck with Cats on Netflix, which was a really interesting documentary. Check it out, but it is got bad things happen to animals in it. They don't show it, but they describe it. It is intense, so just brief content warning on that. But it is a very interesting documentary, and playing a lot of Death Stranding, super cool game. If you want to hear me ramble about it, you should subscribe to the Patreon and check out the pre-show, because I talked a lot about it. So that's me.
Cool. I'll go. Inside of Magic, much the same as you. It's not that I purposely don't this is the time I don't play because the pre-release is coming soon, and but it's just a time where there's not too because everyone's kind of waiting for the new stuff to come out, and it's kind of a weird period. But I've just been looking into a lot of the spoilers and pre-release stuff that's coming out, and kind of checking up on some of the lore. I'm really interested in Theros as a region, so I've been looking into some of the gods and the titans and what's been going on in Theros previously, so that's been fun. And outside of Magic, just getting past the holidays here. I've been real involved with the SCP wiki recently. Secure, Contain, Protect. It's a bunch of creepypasta.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, goodness. Yeah, those.
And there's this guy, shout out the Volgan. He's a YouTuber who does all kinds of video readings of them. So, definitely. And for anybody that watches is what's your favorite SCP? It's 001, specifically Dr. Clef's Proposal, the Gate Guardian. So enjoy that.
I'm a 006 guy personally.
Oh, fair.
I'm completely making that up. I've never checked this out. I'm just talking.
You should. It's fun.
I didn't know if that was a joke or not, and clearly it wasn't, because I don't know if there is that. I should.
I'm sure there is.
Probably.
I don't know what
I should know a thing about it before I try to make a bad joke. Anyway,
Dave.
We are pre-release eve, or pretty close to pre-release eve, a week out from pre-release eve. So
we can't nominate any Supreme Court justices because a new president's about to be elected.
Yeah, no, and we all know that they set that precedent. Just. I'm trying not to quote The Simpsons here. We'll pull up that clip later. We are definitely in a lame duck situation. There's a reason why Magic Online is still running the Vintage Cube.
We need to see who's the new Oko or Jace.
I don't
I don't know that there's gonna be a super strong planeswalker.
I think they're going to be playable ones. Like
Yeah.
I think Ashiok looks cool.
Ashiok
but-
does look cool.
Teferi's still really good.
Yeah, Teferi is still 3-mana Teferi is still a mistake, and I'll probably still whatever standard deck I'm playing is probably going to involve 4 of that card because I have my mismatching ones now.
Oh, congratulations.
And by that I mean I still need 1 more mismatching one.
Oh.
Anyway.
So we're exactly where you were last week.
Yeah, it's still exactly two English, 2 Japanese, 2 different artworks for Japanese. I don't know. I could probably find a foil one somewhere, which will make me
I
angry.
would like more of that custom Japanese art cards.
Uh,
Those are cool.
That would, I would say we can go all over the place with that one. Not necessarily just
could.
find good Japanese artists, but for Theros, I don't know. Fuck, get some comic book ones. I just find some
be
different ones for some cool artwork.
It would be cool if they like assigned kind of a real life region to each plane, and then get custom art for like those kind of regions.
Yeah, we kind of.
But,
do.
but it's a
I
fucker
wouldn't.
when that plane
Yeah.
gets destroyed. Then so
Oops,
I mean,
oops. There goes Spain. Yeah. Wham, wham.
so
well.
never mind.
I don't think we'll be going back to the plane for Arabian Nights, so that one's
Yeah.
Oh,
too
God.
soon. Gonna be too soon the whole time. And outside of Magic, it's just been Pokemon and paying attention to everything just unraveling in the worst conceivable way. It
Oh,
feels
yeah.
like probably not that, probably a bit overly dramatic, but just watching the mess that currently is the world.
What's the meme?
Yeah.
This week's been a hell of a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
For historical context, if you're watching this from the future, just look up other things about January 2020, and you'll
If
see
you're
what I'm
watching
talking
this on some cobbled together screen in the post-apocalypse, that will explain a lot of things. And if this is the only remaining media, I'm so sorry.
And if you're watching this on, January 15th, just go ahead and start pulling up YouTube clips of speeches from Donald Rumsfeld from 2003 if you want to see how all this is going to pan out.
Oh boy. Okay. Anyway,
Whoa, that's
anyway.
a fucking singer. Anyway.
we're gonna talk about Magic the Gathering now.
Talking specifically about things that are before they happen.
Yeah, but really quick,
Pre-release.
right before we do that, there's one thing I want to pitch because the professor really needs it. There you mentioned the YouTube kind of read along videos, and the professor's preview card for Theros, which was that Kiora Saga. I'm totally blanking on the name right now, but it's that Kiora stealing the Biden from Thassa. He did his his preview video was they got voice actors to do a recording of the story that they wrote in the original Theros where she steals the Bident.
Oh,
got
that's
it got cool
cool.
voice actors, and then they got like art from the cards and like put it up on the screen. It's like 20 minutes long.
Are you talking about Kiora,
Yes.
Best the Sea God?
Kiora Best of Sea God is the card, and the video is so cool, and it's a huge amount of production value. And this is the professor at a Tolarian Community College. I mean, he's like literally the biggest Magic the Gathering YouTuber, so he probably doesn't need a plug from us. But if you haven't seen that video, I implore you, check it out. It was super cool, and we should support
Nice.
content creators doing really awesome things like that. He's doing great work. And again, yeah, he really needs the bolster from us. So we're going to talk about this. We're going to start on the topic now. Not 20 minutes into the video, maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know how long we've been going. Anyway, pre-release. That's what we're here to talk about because this video is going to come out the Monday. Dates. Monday. The Monday this video comes out on YouTube. That Friday through Sunday, which is looking at a calendar because I didn't prep
this
my
is
notes.
dead.
Um,
Okay.
So this is going to come out January 13th, and then January 17th through the 19th is the Theros Beyond Death pre-release. And so for those of you who might not know what a pre-release is, I'm going to do a really quick just overview on it. So
Break it down.
Magic sets, the weekend before a Magic set releases, Wizards does a pre-release. And so that is an opportunity to play with some of the cards. So they'll do sealed tournaments, which is 6 booster packs. You build a deck and you battle against other people who did that. And then your local game stores are going to be hosting these pre-releases. You'll get some promo stuff. You'll get a special dice. You'll get a foil rare or mythic from the set with a date stamp on it. And you might also get a special. Sometimes they do a specialty thing. I'm not sure what's in this pre-release kit, but you at least get a special foil in addition to your other stuff. Normally, the prizes on these pre-releases are pretty good. Generally, depending on your store, they'll be maybe skewed a little bit lower in rank, so it's not just the best people or the highest scoring players getting stuff. A lot of stores will do everyone gets an extra pack kind of situation.
Yeah.
They're normally pretty affordable. It's normally a good deal card
And
wise.
plus, even then, if you getting that pre-release card and stuff, it is really cool. I remember getting that foil Emrakul with the date stamp.
yeah,
and
I did take you to that, didn't I?
Yeah.
Or you came along, one of the two.
One of
that
the
was a
two.
fun one.
So, yeah,
that would have been Coliseum, wouldn't it?
Oh no, that was a Krypton.
It was Krypton? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Back in the day, yeah, the old everyone got the same card. Now it could be anything. So you might get a stinker, but you also might get like a foil crazy card. And even if it's not the best card ever, I like when I'm flipping through my collection, I'll be like, oh yeah, this was my pre-release foil. I
It's good
literally
memories.
I went to a pre-release after my wedding, like literally. At 10:30, we're like, "Kay, stop the wedding reception. We're going to Krypton Comics," and we played. Well, I got proposed to at pre-release as well. I actually got
That's
proposed to at the Journey into Nyx Theros pre-release.
Oh.
Ray proposed to me at that pre-release at Krypton, and then we went to
Nice.
Magic Origins pre-release. Literally hours after the wedding. So pre-releases are pretty cool.
You guys move quick then. That would have been pretty quick after, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it was
It
I think a little over a
wasn't
year, maybe.
Wasn't Origin the core set for that year? Or am I might be like savagely confused because I thought
I think it
that
was the next
last
year.
core set that they
I think
did
we
for a
were
while.
we were engaged for over a year, maybe. I don't know. I got married in 2015.
Tips and trick for a relationship that lasts.
Well, yeah, get married on a 5
Play
year.
Magic together.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say get married on a 5 year. You'll never forget your anniversary. But
That's true.
So obviously pre-releases are fairly clearly near and dear to my heart. I wasn't even thinking about bringing that up, but yeah, I like pre-releases. Good things happen at them. I can't promise you'll get proposed to, but it clearly is possible, viewer.
But maybe.
Law of averages. If you play in enough pre-releases, it will eventually happen.
When that's just science, and you're getting the
Yeah.
real facts here.
Science and math. That's
We have university in our name, which means that everything we say is true.
yeah.
Well, until they print out a revised textbook next year.
Yeah. Next year, are we going to do new topics, or are we just going to go over our last episode and just like revise it a little bit and charge people $85 per episode?
Well, if they turn in the old episode, we'll buy it back for like $12.
And well, for like a nickel, and then we'll charge the new one for 120. Man,
All
okay.
right.
Anyway,
Anyway.
so that is that is what happens at a pre-release. Another cool thing they've added is if you pre-order a box, you can now pick up your pre-ordered box at the pre-release. So you can play at the pre-release and then go home with a box of new cards. And we're going to talk about boxes in the next topic, but so as of right now, we're going to kind of cover. So if you are new to the idea of pre-releasing, if you've thought about it, if you've never done it, if you've done it but you'd like to do better, we're going to do some tips and tricks for pre-releases. So Dave, you are kind of the pre-release. You were
Back in the old days, certainly. Not a lot anymore. You know, like the occasional one now. Like I got to do an Eldraine one.
So,
Um,
yeah, because it's like super funny. It's like I used to go to pre-releases more when they were at night.
Kind of, yeah. Like I think I'm just more genetically inclined to be good at playing games at midnight than
Me
I am
too.
at 10 in the morning.
or everyone else is so bad at midnight. You're just your general existence.
Probably both. I mean, I may or may not have shown up to a few pre-releases kind of drunk.
I think that probably still
and
happy with them in
dropped
the
a
morning.
match. That was pretty sweet. Did that like 3 times. Anyway, enough bragging about my medium play skill at these more casual events in the middle of the night after having a couple. But the way that we used to do it, it was a pretty solid like schedule. So they weren't allowed to do pre-releases before Saturday.
Sorry,
No, that's what happened when I went to PTQs in Lenexa, and I lost the first 2 rounds because there's a bar in that strip mall, and it's a very bougie bar too, very nice.
Oh.
So they had pretty good food. It's bar food. For bar food, it was really good. So, but that's anyway. So the old schedule used to be along these lines because they couldn't do a pre-release before Saturday. You do your F&M on Friday, which no one really cared about because the new cards are coming out in like an hour or so. Not an hour,
Yeah.
but in
3 hours.
yeah. You will be playing with the new set sooner rather than later.
Did
So
you-
no one really cared about those, and normally what would happen is Krypton would do an entry free, a free entry standard tournament, and if you went undefeated, then you got free entry to the sealed tournament they were going to do for the release next week.
That's fun.
That's cool.
So that was cool. I don't think that obviously they don't do that anymore because now they can just do the pre-release at 6 p.m. on a Friday.
Yeah, is it 6 or 7? Maybe it's 6.
Well-
You can now Friday afternoon or evening. If you want to go to a pre-release, and you've never been to your local game store, you can go to Wizards event locator. Event Finder. Go to the Wizards site, and you'll be able to find the nearest place that's doing a pre-release, and then their site, or if you reach out to them, and they should be posting the pre-release times. Anyone who's got their stuff together is going to have those posted. So if you want to do it, you just go to Wizards website. You can easily find your nearest store, and really, it's such a great idea. Even if you know how to play the game, even if you aren't far from an expert, it is such a casual environment. Like Dave mentioned, like people are going to be really
there really isn't that much at stake, especially now, because most places are just going to pay you out on record. You're not gonna play 7 rounds to try and win a box of a set that's not actually released yet, which is how it used to be. And it used to be a little bit more competitive back when they did the regional regional pre-releases, back when it was a finite number of stores that were allowed to do it. In our area, it was Hobbytown and Lincoln.
I remember. I remember going to Hobbytown. I remember going to like some hotel ballroom for Lorwyn.
It's a lot more diplomatic now.
Now, they changed it about Alara, I think. It was either Alara or Zendikar. It was about that time where they broke down the regional pre-releases, and they went, okay, if you're a store, you can run a pre-release.
Yep.
And they've and obviously they've made a lot of changes and who can do what since then.
Which was really good for supporting stores.
It was bad for the really big stores like Hobbytown, where they
But the really big stores do fine anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that they're necessarily hurting.
But yeah, I just want to say too that it is one of those. It's a very equalizing environment because not people are studying some of the spoilers and stuff like that, but no one has like encyclopedic knowledge of what they're going to be seeing.
And nobody knows how to play. No one knows what they're doing.
No one knows what they're doing. So like even if you're kind of a new player and you've been a little intimidated about going to tournaments or anything like that, a pre-release is a great place where everyone's kind of this is the first time people are seeing stuff.
Yeah. So a lot of stuff's going to get missed. As a great example to that, during the Return to Ravnica pre-release, people hadn't gotten the message yet as to how good Packrat was.
Oh my god, yeah.
Like people were looking at it going, I guess it's okay, but I don't really want it. Like people weren't realizing that you can just play 39 swamps. Like you probably shouldn't, but you could.
And plus you don't get some of the spoilers of the cards that are released around a thing. So
I mean,
those cards that get banned, they don't necessarily just get banned because of what they are. Sorry. They don't necessarily get banned because of what they are. They get banned because of what they do in the environment that they're in. And you get to see the environment in a pre-release. You get to see the cards that support it. Those cool uncommons that do a thing that supports the thing.
Yeah, and they in the new sets, they print signpost uncommons, so color combinations will have uncommons that kind of direct you into how to play. And so I guess I want to transition really quick into like, let's say you're new, you haven't done one of these. Maybe you've never played Sealed before. And that might be a little bit intimidating to say, hey, I'm going to go to this big tournament, and I don't know the cards, and I'm going to play, and I don't know how to build a Sealed deck. This is the best place to learn to play Sealed. Go in, and you just tell somebody, like, hey, I'm new. I don't feel confident with Sealed, because the cool thing is people can help you build your deck. It is not a pre-release if I haven't talked to 4 people about their decks and my deck, and I'll be like,
and
hey.
people are going to be like, ooh, and you're like, what are you oohing about? And they're like, I'm oohing about that.
Yeah, you get
if you just roll somebody 2-0, it's not even close, and it's very obvious they're a new player. That's something I've offered in the past. Hey, can I take a look and see what you're playing and seeing what you're not playing? Hey, this is what I would. Do you want some unsolicited advice as to how you probably should build this? They'll take a lot of the times they'll take the advice, and then the really cool part is when they come back to you like on round 3, round 4, and they're like, "Hey, I won last round. It wasn't even close." And I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome."
Because it's something. Yeah. So you can. In most tournaments, when you submit your deck, you're locked in. In a pre-release, you are allowed to change your deck between rounds. So let's say you build a deck round 1 and it doesn't work. You can shift into completely different colors next round.
Continuous build.
You can go, green-black did not do it for me, but somebody pointed out, looked at my pool, and they said my red-white cards are really good, so I'll try a red-white deck. Yeah. You can do that. That's allowed. And so something to keep in mind, so tips, you can't trade your pool. It sucks to have to get disqualified from a casual tournament, but you can't say, hey, I'll trade you this for that during deck building. Cards you open are the cards you get to play with. Yep. You do get to play with your cool promo card now, too. Your extra rare. Yep. You get to play with that, so that's a nice little addition. But
that's a nice little addition.
Ask for help. If you're sitting down and opening your cards and you don't know what to do, this is, generally our community is pretty helpful and pretty nice. just reach out to somebody, someone who's talking to their friends or someone who looks like they're done with their deck, and say, hey, would you mind looking at this?
Yeah.
And you might make a friend. At the very least, you're probably going to get some decent advice. And it's a really nice place to be. Or most places, you'll be seated at a table. So if there's 3 people opening around you,
Exactly.
just say, hey, I opened this kind of stuff. What do you think? So Wizards also will include a little guide in all the pre-release kits, which will give a very loose definition, a guide to how to play sealed. And it's generally, you want to run around 17 lands. You probably want to go 2 colors. Generally, you don't have enough cards to go a single color, and you can push into 3, but depending on the set, it might be risky. So generally, there are exceptions. You want to go 2 colors, about 17 lands, between 13 and 16 creatures, and then the rest impactful spells and removal. If you've got removal, you want to make sure you're putting that in your deck. This is all really pretty basic advice, but this is the place where you go and learn. This is where you get those fundamentals kind of ground in. This is where you go, okay, I'm going to try to run 5 remove. I'm going to pick my colors based on my removal. I'm going to say where my removal's best, and then I'm going to say I've got 4 cards that say destroy target creature in black. Then challenge yourself to play black. And
you're probably playing black at that point.
And so definitely. I think something I've ran into a lot is people will say, I'm new, I play red decks. And then so you can force red, and if you really want to just take your red pool and do your best, this is fine. If you lose all your rounds and you had fun, you're still walking out with 6 packs and an extra rare and maybe some more prizes.
Are they still doing seeded packs? Or
No,
are they not doing
they stopped that, which thank God. Because,
probably a good call then. Okay.
Yeah, they still do it. I think sometimes with like guilds. So like
special events. They have they said if they're doing that for Theros or not? Because they did that for the original.
No,
they're just standard packs.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, so they did an experiment for a while. So they did the guilds. In Ravnica, you could pick a guild and you'd be guaranteed to have a pack that was only, say, Izzet cards. And people really liked that. Then they decided to go, we'll do this in every set. But then they started going... So then it was, but in Theros, so the first Theros set, you could pick one of the 5 colors. And there were 5 promo cards. But the problem was, like, the white promo card was the best.
Yeah.
That's
standalone.
Very ambitious. Like I went black at every single pre-release that I played in.
Yeah,
and then I found out that cards like Grey Merchant existed.
No, and I think that was
so. I learned the wrong lesson. But
I mean, not saying that wouldn't even work, but yeah, like the life, it was like
it was a bestow creature
with lifelink within flying.
Yeah, lifelink being the big thing, but. A lifelinker that you're going to have to kill twice. I'm very, very happy they did not let you play with your pre-release card during Scars of Mirrodin, because I'm fairly certain that I would have just smashed my head through a glass window if I had to play against a worm coil every single round.
Well, thankfully, Wizards,
even if I had one.
Wizards learned the right lessons, and so sometimes they'll do a seeded pack, but if there's not a really clear, like, it seems like if there are guilds or clans or like a really firm grouping, they'll do it, which I think fits.
Yeah.
But they don't do it to you with like, we're in Theros. They're not going to make us pick a color this time, which thank God. So
devotion's a thing, but it's not the most important thing.
No,
devotion was a huge thing in the first Theros.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons they could justify doing the seeded packs.
And I think it was still a mistake.
And also, remind me, how long generally can you expect to be at a pre-release?
So it's going to depend on size. Dave, you want to go ahead?
You can figure that deck building is probably going to take somewhere about 30 to 40 minutes, maybe 50 if someone really wants to run over a whole bunch of things and have everyone's attention. From there, you'd figure for every round at about an hour, and then probably just add like an extra 30 to 40 minutes on top of that, because it's very uncommon for a tournament to go very smoothly. Yep. Like, you're going to go over, people are going to go to time, especially since it's a new set, and a lot of people are going to be seeing these cards for the first time.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon to go to time at these types of things.
So stay hydrated.
Yeah.
Good clothes.
So
the standard kind of thing.
So they're saying tips and tricks. So I want to kind of wrap up, but I think a couple. So we gave some deck building tips. You feel free to ask for help. Use a little insert. Bring some sleeves.
Yeah.
You're playing sealed. Yep. You don't want your deck to be over 40 cards. So bring 45 sleeves in case any rip or get torn up. They're going to give you a little box you can store your cards in. It doesn't hurt to bring a deck box, but normally they've been making the decks big enough that they can fit sleeved cards. So you can sleeve up your 40 cards and still put everything in your little box, which is nice. Depending on when you're playing, eat beforehand. Some tournaments will break for lunch, but yeah, stay hydrated, stand up and walk between rounds, just general tournament stuff. Make sure you bring something to keep track of your life. You will get a spin down. I will always recommend, no matter what your skill level, you should be taking your life on pen and paper. It's a great habit to get in right away. Come prepared if you want to bring a play mat, but definitely sleeves. If you open a $60 foil mythic that you want to play, you don't want to be shuffling that up and running around on the bare table.
The store may be nice and say we'll let you do a proxy, but they are under no obligation to do so. So don't count on it.
Yeah, just buy some sleeves. Buy cheap ones. It's again, spend $4.
And the thing is,
spend the money. Buy Dragon Shield.
Oh, yeah,
I
honestly,
mean,
do that.
worst comes to worst, you're usually in a store doing a pre-release.
And yeah,
you can buy some sleeves.
Yeah, you're in your
they'd
local.
appreciate it. It's more revenue for them. It helps keeps the lights on and helps them stay in a position where they can continue having these types of events and other events to let the game
They
keep
usually
going.
have some drinks and some
Yes,
snacks.
support your LGS. They are running the pre-release. This is one of the reasons we say things like support your LGS, because Walmart and Target aren't doing pre-releases.
Yeah,
guys.
they can never do a pre-release. They can never do a PTQ. They're not WPN stores. And if you know what, as far as our listeners are concerned, if any of you find a Walmart or a Target that sells any D&D source books, post that, because I don't think that that's a thing. I don't think you can pick up a lot of these different nerd things that we would consider pretty common, pretty important.
You see them at thrift stores and stuff occasionally.
Yeah, you can see them there, but definitely not big box.
And you
stores.
can't-
But also your thrift stores.
You also can't buy singles at a big box store, which that audience. I'm going to let you in a little secret here between me and you. That was what we call a transition. We're going to talk about our next topic. Does anyone have any final thoughts on pre-releases before we move on?
One,
They're fun.
What I would say, this is good for kind of the more casual pre-release player, the more casual Magic player, but pre-releases are going to be going on throughout the entire weekend. So if you can't make the one on Friday, most places are going to be doing Saturday and Sunday ones. They may be doing different events too, because some places will still do Two-Headed Giant. We can cover more on Two-Headed Giant and what that format is. You can find it. Bottom line for that is it's 2v2. It's a group game. And a lot of fun. Generally, it's the only time the pre-releases are the only time you get to play Two-Headed Giant.
And that's something to keep in mind. Do a little bit of research before you go. Make sure you know the time. Make sure most places are just going to be do a normal sealed deck. But if they're going to do Two-Headed Giant, that's fine. Yeah. Bring a friend, and if you don't have a friend, just go and say, "Hey, I need to get paired up with somebody." They'll explain how Two-Headed Giant works. I think we should go into that at some point. I really like that, but that's not this week's topic. So, JC, anything before we move on?
No. Pre-releases are fun.
Okay, as I mentioned in my incredible transition, I'm incredibly good at this. Kind of a professional podcast person, definitely. Oh God!
Just go ahead and tip
Fishing
that
for them compliments.
Yeah. And if you think so, please talk about how great I am in the comments below.
Also, I don't think I actually mentioned in the show, if I sound all kind of, I'm sick. It's fine. I have a cold, not like the sickness.
She's dying.
No.
She's dying, and we need those Patreon.
Thanks, Tam.
Can't do it.
That was gonna bug me.
What happened?
You'll see. We'll fix it in post.
We'll fix it in post. Right. Yeah, I remember any hilarious thing Tam's putting up on the screen. I can't see. It is happening in front of me. I'm blind as hell. Anyway, talking about singles. So, like we said, at your friendly local game store, you generally can buy singles. There's also online retailers. eBay, Star City Games,
Channel Fireball,
TCG Player, not to be confused with us.
Stuff Inc.
Meet some dude off of Craigslist.
Yeah, local Facebook.
Yeah, some dude off of Craigslist or Facebook.
Yeah, local Facebook stuff. A lot of times there'll be groups that trade or sell cards, but
usually your store.
Usually your store. And so a general advice to new players, the standard advice is, if you're new, don't buy packs or don't buy boxes, buy singles. And so that is the general advice, and the idea behind the advice, and I think it is good advice with a couple caveats.
Couple big caveats. If you are looking for a few cards, let's say you're a standard player, you're a modern player, you're a commander player, whatever reason you're looking for, or you're a collector of cool mythics. You like green cards, so you're excited. There's all sorts of green mythics in the new Theros set. You want the new Nylea, you want this, you want that. If there are certain cards you need for a reason, be it a collection, be it a deck, you should buy those cards. You should buy those cards, ideally from your local game store. If you don't have a good local game store, or your local game store doesn't have those cards, there's a lot of online retailers that should work. But
the odds of saying, I want a Nylea, so I'm going to buy 5 packs and hopefully open one, you are not likely going to open a specific card.
Right.
So if you are looking for a deck, if you're looking for a collection, you are going to serve yourself best by buying singles to add to your collection. Now,
But
That goes for commons and uncommons too. I can
yeah, 'cause
reminisce
you
about
can buy commons
it.
and uncommons.
Oh, I mean, like opening up 5 packs trying to get a specific common or uncommon. I've been at multiple Star City Opens and GPs where someone's like, I need this one common that was only printed in this set.
Yeah.
I just bought these packs. I really hope I get it.
when you do that,
I didn't.
That's
Yeah,
the
quality
It
common.
feels terrible.
It's the equivalent of buying scratch-offs to try and win enough money to buy more scratch-offs. It's not a good call. It's not a good life
gonna
choice.
have a bad time. And you will not be able to play that card at your SCG Open.
But so Jay, so you clearly have you've mentioned some large asterisks. Why don't you talk to me
I
about
have
reasons
mentioned asterisks. So
why we shouldn't just buy singles potentially?
there are, and I think there's nothing wrong with this either. There are people that are like, hey, I like some things from this set, but I don't know what I want to play. And I think that there's something to be said for building a base collection of cards from a set to draw upon to build different things and try different things out. So, and I'm not saying like go whole hog in that, but I don't think it's a problem that if you're like I don't really know what I'm doing yet. I don't really have an idea of cohesive of what I want to do. And especially if you're into deck building and getting different decks going and stuff like that, I don't think there's anything wrong with buying a few boxes and then getting something kind of started, and then you kind of jump off from there and then buy specifics to fill out.
I think that's. Oh, go ahead, Dave.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was just gonna add in that now, especially that they have the buy a box promo.
Yeah.
And those have been sticking around a lot later, and they are relevant to standard. It's been kind of hit and miss. Like obviously, Nexus of Fate was relevant. Kenrick is also relevant.
Kenrick's seen some play.
I could not tell you what the previous one was.
It was Haunt of Hightower. We had the giant indestructible worm.
I did play Haunt of Hightower in a standard deck, but
We had
that was vampires.
We had Tezzeret.
Yeah, Tezzeret, the bridge or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
Tezzeret, they printed a card in standard with affinity for artifacts
the
written on
claw.
it. The claw.
Have you seen that card being played in Arena? When you plus, his claw just comes out and zaps the opponent. It's so cool.
That's awesome.
Tezzeret's my boy. Magic Cyborg.
Side note, we had a Brawl player who had a Tezzeret deck, and it was a food Tezzeret deck with Theros, and it was Tezzeret Master of the Fridge. Because the card's Tezzeret Master of the Bridge.
Yeah, that makes... Oh, that's why it was the bridge thing. Okay.
Yeah, Tezzeret Master of the Bridge, but Tezzeret Master of the Fridge food deck. A lot of fun. Brawl shout out. Sorry. Love that deck name. Had to share that. Anyway, Dave, please continue.
Like JC was saying, it is a pretty solid idea too to just like build that foundation of a collection too.
Yeah.
You know, if your local store doesn't have the cards that you're looking for, some of the players might that play there. And especially with like the Ravnica sets, they reprint Shocklands. Shocklands are always going to be good. Shocklands are always going to be something that somebody needs to play in some format. So those are as close as you're going to get to currency. I'm sure you could potentially offer a player actual cash for specific singles they have that the store doesn't.
But usually it's trading.
But you probably don't want to do that.
That's not super polite to the
you
store.
Oh yeah, the store's going to get real mad when they find out, because they will find out if you do it enough.
Yeah.
And so something I should. So every set I will buy at least one box, because I like to buy a box promos. And I like to expand my collection. So I play a lot of commanders. So I have, for basically every set since Lorwyn, at least one of those long white boxes, the card storage boxes, and I put the set name on it. And from packs and the box I buy, and maybe a fat pack bundle here or there, I will normally fill one of those boxes up with commons and uncommons. And so I like to establish a nice baseline for a set.
Yep.
One of the things I like about Brawl is generally you can build pretty reasonable Brawl decks out of a box, or at least a couple boxes. It's a nice way to start your collection. It's a nice way to get trade fodder, like Dave's saying. If you don't know, or Dave's saying to get stuff to trade, JC's saying you don't know what you want. It also gives you the opportunity, and I want to tread real carefully here, because opening packs hits the same part of our brain that lotto tickets and gambling
sure
hits.
Does.
It is. And so,
IRL loot box.
I'm sure you've heard us refer to booster packs on the show, Scratchy Lottery, a whole bunch, and there's a reason for that.
And so something I think we just need to say is, you as a player need to look at your budget. And now you might be a starving high school or college student. You might have $20 a month to spend on Magic. If you do, packs are probably not the best way. Packs are probably not the best. Thank you.
To our producer,
Yes.
Is that your official title? By the
That's
way?
what I just say.
Yeah.
We're breaking the fourth wall.
Producer.
Oh, they
credit.
know. I mean, I spend enough time pre-show screaming at Tam off screen. They know he's there. But you need to look at your budget and decide what makes sense. I have no kids and disposable income. I enjoy buying a box of Magic cards. I enjoy opening the packs. There are fun things you can do with them. You can have your own little pre-release or tournament at your house. You and your friends or your partner can sit down and draft or do your own little sealed tournament. There's all sorts of things you can do. There's pack wars. If you just Google, what can I do with a box of Magic? How can I play?
You can start your own YouTube channel where
Yeah.
you unbox things.
Yeah, you can. Those are super popular.
So here's the thing that the old shop used to do. There's a mutual friend of, I think, all of ours. He used to run a shop, and every pre-release, he and a buddy of his afterwards would take a lot of leftover product, the pre-release kits they didn't get to use. They would open it all. Like, I think they would take like 3 or 4 pre-release packs a person, and then they would just build these absurd sealed decks.
Yeah.
Which one of them always went 5-color bullshit, and the other one just tried to make the most consistent deck that he could. Yeah, 5-color won every time.
No,
it
and
was
that's-
it was
I mean,
stupid bad.
There's something to be said for like having that box of like that set as you go on in Magic, and you want to build something for Commander or something
Yeah,
like
that's-
that.
it's-
And you have these old sets with at least some base of cards. To
And it's
build
nice
off
for someone to
of.
go,
It's
I
nice.
need a friend at work needed this weird common, a green common from Origins.
Which sometimes you do need a weird comment.
And that's the thing, it's like, if you need a common, I mean, and maybe you aren't the person who buys the boxes, it might not make sense, you don't want to do
there's
it.
so many like quality uncommons out there that are hard
Yeah.
to find.
No, I mean, so it's nice to have those cards. Again, you are not going to probably make money off your box, and it's something. There's a mindset you can slip into where you go. You look at the pre-release prices are normally pretty inflated, and if you buy a box and you are really keen and you move fast, you might be able to make a little bit of a profit selling that box. Boxes will always settle out because if it is profitable to open boxes, people will do it till it stops being profitable. That is like the 101 of how Magic finance works. But don't get into that mindset where you go, oh, I opened all this value, so really I didn't spend any money. You spent that money. You don't have $100 in your bank account anymore. And if you don't sell those cards, you are down $100. Now, you spent $100 on your hobby. That's not a bad thing. And I'm not saying don't ever do that. But you need to be smart with your money and buy. If you have $100 a month to spend on Magic cards and you really want to build a new Commander deck around Perforos and you need some of the new cards from this set, it might not be the right call to buy a box. If you're saying, I've got this extra money, I have $200, so I'm going to buy a box and save the other half for singles. That's a great idea. There's reasons to buy packs. If I'm at a game store, like I say, support our local game store. Sometimes I'll just buy a pack and just say, okay, I'm buying sleeves and 3 things out of the case. Throw in a pack, it'll be fun. Gambling responsibly is fine. But that's what this is. And so
much like gambling too. I don't know if anyone's ever calculated it out, but based on my own experience, generally you are losing every time you buy a pack. So if you buy 4 or 5 packs, generally, even if you were to resell all those cards, you are at a loss.
Well, because you're not a store, and so if you're selling the cards, you've got to pay eBay fees. If you buy a box and you say, well, I'm going to make my money back, and you buy a box for $100. No, let's say you do it. Let's say you sell it on eBay and you take all the rares and you sell it for $120. How long did you spend shipping?
Yep.
Because if you spent 3 hours selling those cards, you just made. So let's say we just made $20 profit for 3 hours of work. That's not great.
That's one of the reasons you'd want to do it in very, very high volume, and you'd want to be able to buy it very close to cost. If you're getting it direct from a distributor, it's a little bit more.
Right.
That's why stores
can
can
defend it a
and
little
that's
bit
how
better.
stores can do it because
But,
they get it at cost
yeah,
and in volume.
Like even look at maybe not War of the Spark, but I'd probably say check out some of the prices for cards from Eldraine, where you're going to notice that there are a few at the top that are holding value very, very nicely,
they will.
And the rest are pretty much garbage.
The henge.
Yeah, the henge, which
Amber
should be
Cleave.
worth and these cards will be worth something at some point.
Yeah, some of
But
them will.
if you're picking them up now, you have to wait to get a return on your investment. But I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you're looking to make money by investing, you should really look into the stock market, possibly get a CD.
Talk to a financial advisor.
yeah.
Do some research. Max out a
Don't
Roth
do it
IRA.
Magic.
Yeah. Again,
Yes.
don't take your. I'm spitting out some ideas. Don't take your financial advice from us. Go to someone who financially advises. Magic. It is very hard to make Magic your job, and so do not look at this isn't money. If you are just buying cards to keep in a closet and play with, that's fine, and you don't need to feel bad. But you need to think about how you're spending your money, and it might feel really good to crack 36 packs in a row, but if that was all your fun money for the month, and now you don't have the cards you need to build the deck, and you can't buy that cool new video game, you're going to feel pretty bad in 2 weeks. So you just need to think about your budget, what makes sense for you, the fun you're going to have from the box. If it's down the, you may be, they've said you have a partner, you and your partner crack it open, you build 16-pack sealed decks and have a great old time, and then you have those cards for later. Great. If you buy it because you want 2 and 4 months, build a brawl deck, and it's nice to have those cards at home.
Yeah, like you're just throwing money at your hobby, like any hobby.
Yeah, hobbies cost money, and
Hobbies
that's okay.
cost money, and that's
And
okay.
so a lot of times so something I want to shift on to before we go to another topic is a lot of times new players will just be told, buy singles. Well, if you're brand new, what deck do you want to build? Are you going to try to build a standard deck? Are you jumping into Commander? Now, thankfully, we have some nice Commander precons coming, and we have Theros Planeswalker decks. If you just want some simple out-of-the-box, me versus my best friend kind of gameplay, there's options for that. And Wizards is making new products like the theme boosters, which we talked about in one of the previous shows, where you can buy the red theme booster, and every single card in that deck is going to be mono red and artifact, maybe a multicolor red card, but it's going to have red in it. And so if you like red and you want to buy some stuff for your red deck, that theme booster might make sense for you. Like taking into all of the previous advice, look at your budget, look at what makes sense. But this idea that never buy packs, never buy a box, only ever buy singles, I think comes from kind of a more established tournament kind of mindset. And I think new players, it's fun to open it. It's fun to collect. It's fun to sort your cards. That's something that a lot of people get a lot of joy out of this game from not playing. So if you buy a box and then you sort it and you alphabetize it, or you put it in your binder and now you've got a trade binder, or maybe one of my favorite things is I bought the collector's packs. I think are all of this advice turned up to 11. You have to really think if you're going to spend $30 on a pack that might have a card worth $3
Those
in it.
collector's pack are just swag.
Yeah, I absolutely picked up on it. I mean, it feels a little bit better that I use that as like trade credit for doing well in a tournament than actual cash. I'm just going to tell you, quick aside, viewers at home, it feels so much better to open a box that you won over a box that you bought.
He is not wrong.
It's a flex, sure, but it's not a wrong flex. Trust me.
You walk home from a pre-release with 30 additional packs, and you say, "Yeah, I paid $30."
One of my favorite things, the World Wake pre-release. Yeah, glory days. Anyway,
The glory days, World Wake.
at Krypton.
That landfall.
So we played the Saturday pre-release, and I managed to like sneak into top 8 and proceeded to win top 8.
Nice.
And get a box. I was like, all right, cool. So show up the next day for the next pre-release, and lost exactly one person. And on breaks, managed to ace that person out as first place. There was only a cut to standings. There was no cut to top 8. Proceeded to win a second box.
Oh.
And Rick's response was one that I'll never forget, which is, "You disgust me. Get out of my store." He did give me an IOU for it because they didn't physically have the product because World Wake was crazy popular.
Yeah.
And that was, opening both of those 2 boxes was a lot of fun.
So,
as far as my flexing goes.
Oh yeah, no, it's winning. It's been a long time since I got a box out of a pre-release, but it's a nice feeling when it happens.
I feel like there was at least one pre-release where I think that you knocked me out of contention for something. I feel like you've done that at least once.
It was M13 or M12.
Of course, that's
and I knocked you to 9th.
You knocked me to 9th.
I was 8. I knocked you. That didn't happen. That's right.
I don't remember if that was the same one.
The Titans were in it.
Oh, the Titans were?
Because I had Grave Titan and like something else stupid.
Probably
bombing.
another fucking Titan.
I had a dumb pool and I.
All right. I'm not gonna feel bad if you had a Grave Titan and you beat me. You got to 6 mana.
I didn't even play you. I just aced you out on tie breaks.
Okay. I remember losing this. Shoot, I lost everybody in I hate corsets. I hate.
Corsets are my favorite.
Corsets are also my favorite.
I love corsets.
I think the only corset that I think that I liked was the one that they had the slivers in.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
And the reason for that was there was at least one draft that I took part in that we ended up leaving that place at like 3 a.m. I was playing against Alex Mills, and it was just this terrible board stalemate where neither of us, like if either of us attacked, then the other person just straight up won. And I think we just kind of sat there for a while, and I just gained a stupid amount of life because, well, why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
And there was everyone that was still at that shop watching going, we want to go home. This is stupid. It's 3 in the goddamn morning. Just the whole gladiator, are you not entertained?
Yeah.
So, to bring us a little bit back on track and kind of touch on our first topic, we're sitting here just talking pre-release stories. This is one of the reasons to go to the pre-releases.
Yeah.
This is how you make your Magic friends. This is how you make memories of remember when blank happened or remember when you did that. This is how you, if you want to get into your community and you don't know, it feels intimidating, this is the place to start. Really try the pre-release. And so kind of wrapping up on our packs versus singles, I think we have, as usual, gotten to a very solid answer of it really depends. Does anyone have final thoughts?
the consensus of,
I think generally buy a little bit of box,
If you-
kind of stuff, like maybe like a box and some boosters, and then from there buy singles.
Or try it out. If you don't know, try buying a box, and if afterwards you go, I didn't make my money back, or I didn't get this, or I didn't get that, maybe boxes aren't for you. Or if you don't have the money, you could always set up aside to try buying a box. You could go halvesies with a friend. Like, sometimes you can get a decent deal on packs, but at the same time, you need to think about what works for you.
Yeah.
And if you have 7 buddies in a box, that's also a very good opportunity to practice drafting.
Yeah.
I would be hard pressed to find 7 people that wouldn't, want to just do a free draft. Never mind, getting product or not. Just I get to draft for free. Sure, that sounds like a good use of 3 hours.
Yeah, no,
I'm in for that.
I bought a box and said I bought Modern Masters. I said, hey, I want to keep my box, but if you guys want to come play my Modern Masters draft and have fun, please come. I had 6 people show up and we had a good time. And another thing, like you said, to practice draft. But if you aren't competitive but you want to try drafting out, just buy a box and draft it. They're called draft packs now.
Also, one of the best
draft with it.
One of the best ways to learn standard of a new set is to draft it.
Yeah. Figure out what the interactions are like.
The ad nauseum of it, like, bonus points when you have a foreign box of a language you don't read, and you get to do that. You'd be able to remember it by the pictures. That's the easiest way to do it, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, no, so it's, again, there's reasons to buy boxes.
Just make sure they're good reasons.
Yeah, if you're buying a box, ask yourself why you're doing it. Ask yourself if it makes sense for you financially. And make a personal decision. I'm not going to say never do it. If you are building, if you say, I want to build this deck, though, the answer to that is I want to build this deck, how do I do it? Buy singles. That's your answer. So we're gonna move on from that. But before we do, we are going to take a quick break for our sponsors. So there you go. Thank you very much, me. So we're going to take a brief moment to thank our sponsors. So first up is Cards Custom Build. If you want to check them out, look at the link below. It's going to be facebook.com/Cards Custom Build. You can also check out the Etsy link. So Cards Custom Build is cosplay and nerdy accessories custom made. Big projects, small projects, all sorts of stuff. We're going to throw up a couple pictures around me that you can take a look at some of the stuff they've done previously. This is actually our producer Tam's father who does this, and he wants to expand his stuff, reach out to the cosplay community and help people make the stuff they want to have. So if you want nerdy accessories, if you have a particular costume, go ahead and check it out. Reach out on Facebook. Again, that's going to be the facebook.com/Cards Custom Build. We've got the Etsy link if you want to check out some more of the stuff. If you mention the show, if you mentioned TCG University, you get 5% off your order. So go ahead and check that out. We'd really appreciate that. We would also like to direct you towards Inked Gaming. So inkedgaming.com and the promo code TCG University. Check out the link below. And if you want to get custom dice bags, play mats, mouse pads, all sorts of stuff, stuff you need to play your games. If you want something for your computer, I use Magic play mats for my PC rig. So I've got my mouse, instead of a mouse pad, I have a giant play mat. It's great. Using a playmat for your mouse pad is the best thing. So if you want a theme thing just for your home, your computer desk, if you want to make something interesting for Magic, for Universes, any other card game, stuff like that, D&D, you need dice, they've got all sorts of stuff. So that's Inked Gaming, inkedgaming.com. If you use our promo code TCG University, it helps us, and you get a discount at checkout. So check those guys out if you need anything like that. And finally, I want to direct you all to the TCGU bookstore. So we have shirts finally. So if you order something before January 24th, 2020, you're going to get free shipping. So if you're thinking about a shirt, now's a perfect time to get it. Right now, we've got 2 designs. We've got our basic logo, and then we've also got the #JamesSucks shirts. So those should be up on the screen for you guys to take a look at. We're going to have more to come soon. We're going to be expanding our offerings. But if you want to take advantage of that free shipping, just check the link below for the TCGU bookstore and represent. We'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And now back to me.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. And so we are going to, before we move on to our weird and exciting post show, we are going to talk about our last topic, which is we're going to discuss power level shifts. We're going to talk about where card design has kind of moved. And now that we've had our second set, Eldraine was the first one where Wizards of the Coast said, hey, we are going to not bring standards power up and down as much as in the past, but we are going to aim for a particular level of complication and power, and we are going to try to stick that. And so Eldraine definitely showed us what they can do printing new powerful cards into standards. I think War of the Spark should also demonstrate, if you look at Eternal formats, they are riddled. Yeah, the core set, they are riddled with new cards. And so we have seen most of Theros Beyond Death. By the time you're watching this video, the set will have been released, and I'd recommend you check that out if you're going to a pre-release, or if you're just, you should look at the new cards. There's a lot of stuff to be excited about, but there's a lot of really strong cards in these sets. Let's discuss. So we're gonna move on to flavor in a little bit. Before we talk about the kind of shift in flavor and how that kind of ties into this, Dave, what are your thoughts on where they're doing with the power level?
Well, they made it pretty clear that they want this to be this is where they want standard to be. They want cards to be powerful. They want cards to be good. They want to push it. Their logic being, people have more fun playing standard when the cards are very, very powerful. So at that point, it's in their best interest to make sure that we're not having boring standard formats like. Trying to think of no one wants to play a format that has homelands as one of the sets available.
Even if we look back,
you don't want to play depowered bad cards.
Was Theros original Return to Ravnica plus original Theros, was that a particularly great standard? I wasn't playing a ton, but a bunch of devotion decks, a bunch of pack rat.
And it depends on who you ask. Like, a lot of people are gonna say that Thoughtseize ruined that format, but Thoughtseize was played in the mono black deck, and I think maybe a few fringe decks. There was a blue-white deck that didn't play Thoughtseize. It played Sphinx's Revelation and Elixir of Immortality.
And Elspeth.
And Elspeth as a win condition. You won by just having your opponent get bored and decide they don't want to play anymore. Yeah. You had the mono-blue deck, which was a tempo-y deck, didn't play Thoughtseize. Generally didn't need to either. You just kind of tempoed them out and just got them. I'm trying to think of what else there was. I'm sure there was a green-red deck that existed that probably wasn't overly great. There was definitely mono-red.
Well, so I mean, and I think Thoughtseize is a really good point too, because clearly in the past they have printed powerful cards.
Yeah.
We was kind of in more of an environment where it seemed like they were going for more. It's going to be strong. We're going to go on this axis. Okay, we don't want too much power creep, so we're going to up power on a different axis. We'll maybe make this kind of card or this style of deck better. But this seems to be more of a commitment towards
raising the power level generally.
Yeah. Like, not necessarily reprinting cards that had already existed that were very, very good, but printing new cards that are going to have an impact on the older formats. Like you were saying with War of the Spark, we have cards like Narset and Fairy Time Raveler. Those are the two that immediately came to mind.
But I mean, we got Once Upon a Time and Oko in any format they haven't been banned in.
And even in the last set, there are plenty of examples. Like Gilded Goose might be better than Birds of Paradise in a lot of instances. It might just be flat out better than Birds, which is weird because I think they've made it abundantly clear they don't want to reprint Birds of Paradise.
Yeah.
And they gave us one with more value. I'm sorry, Jason. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say too. I haven't played enough of it to. I wonder how much of the card pool of all like really extended formats can be represented by more modern cards. Are modern cards making up more of decks, even in formats that allow cards going back a long ways before like the modern set?
I think that's actually a good thing there. I think that Legacy is probably seeing a lot more newer cards. I know that was the case for a while with Vintage. Yeah. Like the Workshop decks just keep getting new things to it.
Yeah, like I can't say for sure, but I feel like Modern is creeping into like Vintage and extended play.
Yeah.
Definitely. Now, there's certainly those overpowered spells or those cornerstone format spells. The Mox and Black Lotus and
Yeah.
Vintage, Brainstorm, Force of Will.
Well,
in
here's one
Legacy.
for you: Oath of Druids. Like,
Yeah.
One favorable interaction in particular, and I think this is probably a deck. Like, obviously, you played cards like Forbidden Orchard and ways to give your opponents tokens so that you are guaranteed that you get to activate your completely unbalanced symmetrical enchantment.
Yeah.
Now you get to play Oko. You know that your opponent's going to be playing some target for Oko.
Yeah.
They're playing Moxes.
Yeah.
Like, just how
And
degenerate does it feel that you get to go, all right, plus with my Planeswalker, make your mana producer an Elk, probably keep you off of mana that you need, and hey, look, there's Gristlebrand. Isn't that crazy? I'm going to draw 14 now.
How does it feel to make your old powerful mana rocks into elks?
Yeah,
No, so it's. I think
it's fair. It's a 3/3 now.
I mean,
It's-
I'm sure if we looked at the numbers, it'd be interesting to kind of graph it out.
It would be.
I would not be surprised if in more recent years we see a larger spike in numbers going up to more recently released sets, and that's kind of.
And this is Wizards' stated position. Their stated position is that we're raising the power level.
And so something like, as a Commander player, I mean, it's cool they're giving us interesting new strong cards. Something to keep in mind, I don't really play a lot of, I don't play Modern, I don't play Legacy, I don't play Vintage. And so a lot of times one of the appeal of those formats is, well, you make a deck and then you've got a deck. But if you've got a Modern deck and
But
now...
even like Commander, how much of your Commander decks are you building from old sets?
And that's interesting, and I think it depends on how hard you want to play, because the nice thing about Commander is, even if your deck's not great, you can still compete, but
Right, you can build the weird things.
none of us are really consistently playing these older formats, and I certainly know there's grumblings online of, I'm frustrated Wizards is putting all these new powerful cards out, because now, if I'm
Yeah.
playing Modern, well, now I need Okos or Ren and Sixes or
Yeah.
Urzas to be
So
competitive.
which feels kind of weird when their position on that is, well, I don't like them printing new powerful cards because now I have to buy them. I have to buy new product, which was always the argument for why Wizards doesn't care about the old formats.
Yeah.
Well, they're not, those players aren't buying new cards. You print Fairy Time Raveler, and that's really good in a combo deck. Yeah, they're gonna
Now they
fucking
have
buy
to.
Warspark.
Yeah, now they
It's gonna
have to.
happen.
No, yeah.
I mean, Wizards is a company and it makes business moves, and making cards that are relevant and that everyone wants is what they want to do. And it's not, I don't think, inherently bad. Now, we need to be careful. Clearly, we've had some serious bans. The first set, they're like, hey, we're really upping our power level. Oko Once Upon a Time, Veil of Summer.
Yeah.
Blah.
blah blah.
So,
And even there's so many good cards from that. Like the Henge is good, and
no, I mean, there's powerful stuff we're seeing play with Corvold, these cat combo
Corvold.
ovens. I think there's cards that are teetering on the brink of
one's Corvold?
playability. Corvold's the Brawl Commander Dragon, the
Oh,
Jund
the
one.
Jund Dragon?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's these cards that are like borderline ready to go, and something I actually talked about when I was recording Brawlin' with Brett.
Brawling.
We're in tiny standard right now, and so I think it's easier for a deck to take over small standard. So because of how standard rotates, standard only rotates once a year, and then 4 sets come out a year. So right after the rotation, you only have 5 sets, right?
Last
year's 4 and the
last
newest one.
year's and then the new set.
So the standard, we were in 5 set standard, so next we'll be going into 6, and we'll wrap up with 8 set standard, which is big standard, when we have double core sets legal, and then we'll go back to small standard. But I think we've lived in a small standard where we've had to ban 4 cards out of standard.
We've had Field, Oko,
Veil,
and Once Upon a Time.
So we're living in a 4-ban standard, which seems scary, and I think it's easy to catastrophize and say Wizards doesn't know what they're doing. Balancing the game is hard.
I think that they know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
They probably just need to chill out a little bit.
Tweak some knobs.
Because they might have just looked at 5-set standard and gone,
but
yeah, we're not going to be playing this that long.
But
Yeah.
sir, this card might get banned. Make it stronger.
I mean,
Is it green? Make it stronger.
the whole apology versus permission or something along those
no,
lines, kind
I
of.
mean, that's the thing. Like, I think we've said, or at least I've said, I'd rather they print cards they have to ban than give us boring sets. And Theros is not boring. Those Titans look nuts. The gods look
Do
sweet.
you see that Bramblethorn guy. I can't remember the card
green,
name, the green guy who doubles your mana.
Triples.
Triples.
We're gonna talk.
Triples
We're
your
gonna
mana.
talk about that. I have a rant we're gonna go on, and that's only for you post-show
Right.
people because I'm not gonna
That
subject our
card
regular
is, that
viewers
card
to
is
that.
so good.
It's very
and
cool.
I love the new spear that gets rid of indestructible and gets rid
Shadows.
Of,
I think it's just
yeah.
like the Shadow Spear or Shadow Spear, something like that.
I have it here. Hold on.
Shadow of the God's End. I think is
It's
what
got
you're-
a special name because it's Theros. Heaven forbid we print the actual name of the weapon, and we'll just call it Hammer of Perforos. They didn't have room for the names and the titles in the last set, so they just stuck the Nylea's bow. Nylea's bow has a name.
It is a shadow spear.
It's called Shadow Spear. It has
Shadow
a weird.
Spear.
It's like Hakthos. The Shadow Spear is called Hakthos, but for some reason we didn't put Hakthos,
Yeah.
comma the Shadow Spear. Anyway, it's just.
Hakthos almost sounds like a fake name.
I might be making it up. So
what's
that's
the
a
name? What's the name of that spear? Hakthos.
You gotta
Yeah,
check.
I
You gotta
just
check
get
its.
really
You gotta
mad.
check its papers, Dave.
It just doesn't sound like an official name.
I mean, I might be making
but
it up.
seriously, so this shadow spear, it costs 1. It costs equipped 2. Equipped creatures get 1/1 and have trample and lifelink. Pay 1 permanent to your opponent's control, lose hexproof and indestructible until end of turn.
Favorite part about it?
Could you see that kind of? Could you see that
Like-
printed in World Wake?
No.
I don't think for a couple of reasons. I mean, it seems like a slightly like depowered Luxodon Hammer.
But
I think I'd rather have Hammer than have that card.
Well, see, the nice thing about that is that pay 1 to shut off their indestructible and hexproof, that doesn't need to be equipped. It doesn't give the creature that.
It's
the
just a
equipment
thing.
has that.
Which I'm fine if you're playing a mid range or some creature based deck. Like
You could
I don't
just
have to
use
worry
it-
about,
You
you
could just
know-
use it as an artifact that's sitting
Well, I
out
mean,
there.
and
I
something-
don't have to worry about Carney T anymore. But back when that was a card that was being played a lot, I was playing blue black, and anytime that they got 6 mana, like, hey, here's this big 6/5 you can't deal with.
And
Good
here's,
game.
on the
Like,
subject of this, people, if you look at the set, there's a lot of cool new mechanics, but there's also a lot of hate. So the gods are all indestructible. Then they give everyone a really playable equipment that turns indestructible off.
what is the rarity on that? Is that
It's a
rare or
rare.
mythic?
Yeah,
It's a rare.
Okay.
And so we have a ton of escape stuff and graveyard stuff. They are printing a ton of
ton of
graveyard
graveyard
hate. And
stuff.
so if you
and
make,
they had a ton of great art.
if you are giving us powerful tools, but you're also giving us powerful tools to deal with them. I guess when Eldraine came out, none of us were sitting at the first day, and it's like, Oko's one of the best planeswalkers ever printed.
I mean, I'm kind of kidding, but I feel like this new set's going to be death and taxes.
White actually got some interesting tools. We're gonna rant about that again post-show, but I'm hopeful. I know we had some stumbling in Eldraine, but generally I'm pretty hopeful. I'm happy we're upping the power level. What are your guys' thoughts on it?
I'm generally happy about it too. I think you touched on something. What you said is that as a player, I want to play new, fun, exciting things, and I don't necessarily. I mean, I care because I do a podcast about it, and I care generally about the Magic ecosystem, but also like I want to play my new shiny, fun, stompy boys and stuff. You know.
Dave, what are your thoughts on the power level shift?
I think at a certain point they're going to realize we can't continue at this pace. We can't keep doing it this way. I think that's probably where we're going to get at.
Yeah,
Like,
I think there's a level where if they keep at this pace, I mean, are we going to see more bannings like we've been seeing?
4 bannings per set, yeah.
Look at it, I guess, kind of from this perspective. Man, it's really cool to eat cake, and it'd be really cool if I got to have cake for every meal.
Right.
But you got to have broccoli every now and again. Like,
Yeah.
they're going to need to have a set that's not that great. At some point, I don't think that you can. I don't think that it's feasible for them to just keep having, really high powered sets. Like, look at how degenerate all this stuff is.
Yeah.
Look at how good this card is. Isn't this insane? You can't keep doing that. You just can't.
Fair enough.
Because I don't know how good it is for the ecosystem as a whole. Like looking at as sets rotate out into other environments.
I know a lot of people are really not on the whole modern thing, and I don't know how much of that are like the new cards are kind of overshadowing and either making existing strategies just seem far too good, and how much of them are just invalidating old strategies. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know if that necessarily
either.
then enters into it, if I'm just rambling, which I have a tendency to do.
Leave a comment if you got thoughts on these new cards creeping into your extended.
Yeah, let us know. Really quick before we wrap up, JC, you kind of pitched an idea I want to just briefly touch on with the idea that do you thought, and maybe I'm misremembering, but you were suggesting that because of how they're doing the power level, that might affect the story?
Yeah, so I think there's been a kind of feeling of if you're making something new and powerful, you gotta back it up with the flavor of why it's big and powerful. So I think we've been seeing a lot of new planeswalkers. We're seeing, some of the Fall of the Gods and stuff like that coming up, even with, a particular planeswalker adding to her body count, I think, as you said.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of the old stuff dying out and the new stuff is good and powerful and it's doing things.
I mean, you have to revisit Theros, and you've got to
Yeah.
make the gods exciting again. So maybe you can go on a different axis and say, well, this god will be good at this. Old Perforos was good with lots of little creatures. Let's make new Perforos good with big creatures. But you also have to just make cards strong and good. And so if back in Theros the power level was lower and now it's stronger,
you have
there
to
you
do
go.
things with the story to evolve it and make it stronger.
And let's look at War of the Spark. They said
Yeah.
we wanted it to be a Planeswalker set for flavor reasons.
Yeah.
And because of that, they're like, well, let's make a new way to do Planeswalker. Let's try a new rarity, and let's try static abilities. And
Yeah.
it is inarguable that static abilities...
Let's talk about what we can do with the Spark.
And so
They were very strong,
and
and
they're
they're
Yeah.
not a good idea.
Well, I mean, even you could argue if they're good. I mean, well, clearly in our set, Teferi are affecting other formats, and so maybe you're excited that you've got cool new toys, but you can't say they aren't impactful. And so the story is dictating some interesting new things. And so
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of an interesting thing. I don't know if it's a direct we want Heliod, we want to make sets bigger, so Heliod will be more cool than he would have alternatively. But maybe it's going to affect things. I don't know.
I feel like this just got into my head because it's like, so gods kill titans, and then planeswalker kill gods, and planeswalkers are what 2020 is about.
Well, it's not looking. I don't think Elspeth is going to
I
kill.
was
it does-
almost expecting a Jurassic Park quote there for a second.
I'm
Which
not-
one?
Just,
Oh no, I know
Yeah.
what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
yeah.
Oh, no, I'm
Raptors had feathers.
not
Just saying.
I'm not sure that. I don't know if Elspeth's body count went up. The Monday viewers will know better than
Oh
we
yeah,
do.
because we're seeing Heliod maybe
yeah.
getting punished, not getting murked.
I don't know. So you'll know better than us. We should probably wrap this up and move on to the post show because oh boy, do I have a rant. So again, I want to thank you all for watching. Please check out the Patreon. Check us out on social media. The Patreon's the big one. If you want to watch live shows, it's just $1. Also pre and post shows where it's a little more relaxed. We kind of ramble. If you want to hear me talk too long about video games and other things, well, all of us talk about
click
weird
that
stuff.
like, click that subscribe.
Yes, and
And the bell.
maybe
There's a bell. Hit the bell.
and maybe YouTube will tell you about our videos, or maybe not. Apparently, that's even tricky. But again, thank you for finding us. Thank you for watching us. Who knows? What did I?
It is tricky. It is.
Oh,
It is.
God damn it. Oh, gosh. All right. We're done. We're done. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. We appreciate you. Have a good one. Go to the pre-release and make sure there and wherever else you are, remember who you are. Have a good one, everybody.